I'm joined now by Democratic Congressman from Memphis, Tennessee, Steve Cohen. Congressman, you, in many ways, represented the progressive bloc for quite a bit of time in the House. You now have a lot more company today, arguably, than you did a decade ago. But you caught my eye on something earlier this week, and it dovetailed with something Claire McCaskill said yesterday. A lot of the younger progressives have never been in the minority in Congress. And you seem to be saying a version of the same thing, going, hey, you got to realize what the Senate looks like over there. Am I interpreting your comments right?
Well, I think you are. I'm kind of the Dante Fascell School of Congress. You got to work with the majority and get things done. Exactly. And
that was my childhood member of Congress, so well done. I have no idea whether you know that or not, but well
I do know that, and I know Killian never beat Gables either. This is where I went to high school.
Okay. Very good.
But yeah, we need to win. And I've been here 15 years. I've been on transportation 15 years. There's not been an infrastructure bill go to a vote. We need to pass it. There's been a lot of work done on it. It's not the bill I'd like, but it's a bill. It helps our country. It helps my city of Memphis, which is a very important transportation and distribution center. And some of the progressives, I admire them. Their values are right. We're all for the Build Back Better. We're for helping the kids and the senior folks staying in their homes and for expanded health care and education and you name it. But the president sets the agenda. He's the main guy. He's the big kahuna. And the Senate is really larger than us, and they're not going to listen to us. Kristen Sinema didn't listen to us when she was a House member. So you got to deal with realities, and the realities are we need to work with Speaker Pelosi, we need to get a bill passed, and we need to keep a majority in 2022. And we need to make sure that the monster of Donald Trump doesn't rear its ugly head in 2024 as the President of the United States.
You're not the first person to use the fear of Trumpism as an argument to sort of get everybody in the room here. Do you think progressives get that? I mean, I say this because you're from a safe seat. A lot of the progressives are from seats. They're not going to have any problems getting reelected. The folks that are going to have problems getting reelected are the ones, it's Virginia 7, Abigail Spanberger, it's Sidney Axne, things like that. Do you believe you should decouple these bills?
I don't think there's a need to, but I think it doesn't hurt. If we pass we definitely shouldn't kill the infrastructure bill because of the Build Back Better bill. But I think we'll have a Build Back Better bill, and whether it's 1.5, whether it's 2.1 or 1.9 or whatever it is, it could be less years. I don't think there's any magic in 12 weeks for parental leave. And what if you have 10 weeks or 9 weeks for parental leave? I mean, there's ways to fine-tune, and we can do that. We can fillet it and still have a bill and still do a lot for the American people. And politics is not revolutionary, it's evolutionary, and this is an opportunity to move us forward.
What is your theory on, as these negotiations go on on the size of the overall dollar figure here? Would you be shaving all the individual programs, or would you sort of pick and choose ones to do right? If you're going to do two, there maybe the housing piece of this just doesn't get started.
Well, there are ways you could look at it. I mean, if we get pre-K, it's wonderful, but there are not enough teachers out there to do the pre-K. And the same thing with community college. In Tennessee, we pay for community college through the Hope Scholarship Program lottery monies that I produced back in 2004. But we've got that, and a lot of states have it. California's had free community college. So maybe that could be changed and done in a different way. Or it could be they could be fine-tuned. But the bottom line is we're going to get a bill passed. The Senate's going to come along. President's going to make sure it happens, and I guess I'm going to go back to Tennyson. It's not for us to reason when or why. It's for us to do or die. We're going to go down in the valley of death, and we're going to vote yes.
Let me ask you this. Do you think a lot of the younger progressives, some elected officials, some activists, have gotten really angry at Senator Manchin, really angry at Senator Sinema? In some ways, you could argue this happens sometimes. You get angrier at a member of your family than you will at a neighbor in your neighborhood. Do you think this is going to do long-term damage to the party?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm disturbed with them as well. But I like Joe Manchin personally. The Senate's the Senate. If we didn't have Joe Manchin, we'd have Mitch McConnell as the majority leader, and that would be much, much worse than having Joe Manchin determine our 50th vote. These are the realities, and you've got to deal with reality in politics. Sometimes it's not pretty. It's not pretty here. It's not pretty a lot of the times. But you've just got to deal with it and work for your constituents and get the best deal you can to send some things home that create jobs and better lives for the middle class and the people that economically need help.
Speaking of political reality, there's the debt ceiling. And you know, if no matter how much you pound sand, if the Republicans refuse to help, you got to go it alone. But how would you prefer to go it alone? Should you take this off the table in perpetuity? You know, it's sort of like, fine, you don't want to help us with this? We're not going to let you have this weapon for a decade.
That's been John Yarmouth's argument for a while, and I think it might be Sheldon Whitehouse's on the Senate side. I'm not sure. But I agree with that. I joined a bill to do away with the debt limit. It's always posturing. It's always brinksmanship. And we eventually get together, and we eventually get together in a bipartisan fashion. Each year gets different. This year may be different because of Trump. Once again, they don't mind risking falling off the precipice or the end of the flat earth that some of them believe still exists.
Yeah, I think we're all a little nervous that there is a YOLO aspect to some people who have gotten elected to office recently. Anyway, Congressman Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Memphis, Tennessee. As you point out, there's a specific bridge there and that connects Memphis and Arkansas, and we know it needs a lot of help. So I understand why you want this infrastructure bill. Thank you, sir.
Chuck. Blow, hurricane, blow.
Well, it's a rough night last night. Not going to talk about it. Coming up,